Welcome back, everybody. It's now episode 17 of my playthrough. We ended episode 16 having just gotten a new but pretty horrible bot factory up and running, but you can see that it has slowly built up over time, and I've even got a ton of these robot frames ready to go in case I should need to build more bots. I've got some in storage ready to go, and those will get inserted into this report here if the amount of available bots falls below a certain threshold. I do currently have 109 logistic bots in the network as well as 100 construction bots in the network. They're mostly useful at this point for just delivering me items as well as taking away my trash, but I am hoping to make them a little bit more useful in the new base. So the first thing I need to do is start establishing power over there because my little steam engine network over here is just not going to be sustainable enough, so I think it would just be easier instead of bringing power necessarily over to the new base, starting with adding a full new steam engine setup, probably over here near this lake. We've got coal nearby, and then we'll have to set up some perimeter defenses, but that way we'll be able to pull some electricity over to the new network, add in some robo bays, and then use the bots to help me instead of taxing my current electrical network, which isn't the greatest. So let's head over there and get started. Alright, here we are, just approaching the lake here, just below the new base actually, so this is a perfect location to put the new steam engine setup, and it looks like I have some cliffs nearby so I can at least use the train to partly defend the steam engine area. In terms of where exactly I want to put that, I want to be as close to the coal patch over here and as below the base over here so I can just kind of keep the power poles on the grid, so to speak. So let's head down a little bit further. And this looks pretty good. Oh, we are going to have to worry about making sure we're not within the worm range. Which... Ooh, that's pretty far. Okay, so we'll want to make sure we're kind of probably up over here more. So, first thing we need to do... Ooh, and I should have brought over some coal with me. I didn't even think of that. Dang it. I could farm a couple trees just to supply some fuel. Or actually, I do have some fuel in there. Perfect. I was thinking ahead and I didn't even realize it. Oh gosh, that's going to be annoying. Yeah, let's plan on parking the steam engine setup a little out of ways of the worms over here, or else that's going to be just super annoying. So that's okay if the setup is a little off-center as long as we keep the power poles kind of going along the walkway here. So, first things first, let's grab a couple boilers. And I just want to see how far off I am. Okay, so that's too close. Alright, oh well. Let's get rid of a couple of these trees that might be in the way. And we do need an area that will be decently sized for it. So I think if we extend it like that, we should be in pretty good business. And then we can either extend this upwards or do half on each side of a belt like this over here. And let's see, the coal will probably be coming from this way, and we can have it... actually, let's have it go down and then go up. Yeah. So we'll have it come up like this. And we need the pump here. There we go. Power pole. Steam engines, which... I am still producing by hand. I didn't get those automated quite yet, but that's okay. My main base doesn't have to automate everything, just most of the hard stuff, hopefully. So we'll continue this along, I think. I've brought enough to do 20 steam engines, which should be a good start. And of course, that's only about half of what a typical ratio like this can support. And if only I had bots that could work in my inventory, that would be awesome. But I don't yet have the utility science research. That's the yellow science. In fact, what does that take? Where did that go? Okay. Oh, so that's totally within my realm to research. Let's go ahead and, I guess, do the advanced electronics. There's no way I'm going to be worrying about getting blue circuits up and running at the old base, I don't think, but we'll see. We'll see how desperate I get. Oh, did I only bring... Okay, let's make a couple more boilers by hand, I guess. And I didn't bring a whole lot of stuff, unfortunately. I think I need more stone, actually. Oh, well. Okay, so we'll put a power pole there. Let's keep it in line if we can. Alright, so now we're going to be using burner inserters. I like to use burner inserters at least for the early game, just in case I were to get a brownout. The only thing the burner inserters need is fuel, so I can supply it directly without actually needing electricity. We'll use the wood for now, since there's just no point in having that. Okay, so let's continue this along. We're going to connect this up to coal. Good thing I have blue. What is wrong with this? Is it just off? Oh, there we go. That was messing with my mind a little bit. Okay, we're continuing along here. Coal patch should be just up there. Yep, perfect. And that looks about center to me. And thankfully I did bring a ton of miners. I also brought some cars, which you guys can see in my inventory, which I do have automated over at the main base. And I don't think we'll be able to really utilize the cars yet in terms of their intended purpose, which will be going on the circular portion, or basically the belt that ends up going in the circle there. But I at least want to start bringing stuff over. And then that way I have it here when I'm ready for it. Actually, I want to do... Let's do every 2 instead. Okay, let me delete a couple of these. I want to redo it. But I like the configuration better that allows for electrical poles to go in between instead of behind. Which is why I'm redoing this. But this will be nice to have basically its own steam engine or electrical setup over here instead of having to pull from over there. I did notice that when I had my science running as well as bots, I was beginning to get a little bit of some red in terms of my power capabilities. So definitely want to avoid that. Actually, let's put there. There we go. We'll rinse and repeat basically to the other side. And I think I'm going to finish this off camera, and then I will see you guys once it is done and we have power. Well, at this point, I'm headed back from the main base over here. I had to pick up a little bit more supplies. But you'll see once we actually get over to the new base that I was able to get electricity set up, and I was able to lay down a couple roboports. Granted, I didn't have any bots on me at the time, so I am returning with about 200 construction bots and 50 of logistic bots, as well as a ton more resources so that they can actually start helping me. I will have to steer clear of the other circles, which I don't want done yet, but some of this other stuff I have ghosted down, I definitely for sure want built. So these will extend my robo coverage around the new base, as well as the bots can start getting rid of these trees and stuff like that for me, and I even have some storage over here. So it's beginning to take at least a little bit of shape. It's not the most ideal thing, but it will be much better than me doing everything by hand. So I'm putting everything in terms of bots in that one bay there. It's currently only pulling from this for my storage, so I'm going to start just putting in random stuff. That way the bots can steal from here. We'll give them 100 repair packs just in case. Same with a little bit of everything else. So that's looking pretty good to me. That's at least a good start. I brought over some of the cement though, stone brick, because I do want to actually improve some of my quality of life things. So having a little walkway, or at least improving my walking speed, would be really nice, whereas I don't have exoskeletons yet. Let's actually get rid of the last couple tiles. There we go. So that's already a little bit better. Here's the logistic coverage and construction coverage you can see here, basically to the new area. I extended the robo bay down here a little bit because I figure it would be nice to get rid of a couple of these trees, and that way I have a little bit of a more clean and clear walking path getting from here down to the steam engine setup over there. And then this is how coal turned out. And then steam engines can be easily expanded upon, so I'm making decent work so far. The next very important item on the agenda is I do need to get smelting over here somehow. I don't want to worry about belting my very limited resources at this point for my coal, my iron, my stone, my copper. So I do have patches over here, of course. Thankfully have this one nice big ore patch for iron right here in this upper right quadrant, and then copper's nearby. Coal we've already tapped into, but we will have to tap into stone. So I do need to get at least a temporary smelting setup, or at least an intermediary smelter setup. I want something that's a little bit more advanced and efficient than this setup, but I do want to keep in mind that this won't be my end game smelter setup, so it should be somewhere that will be hopefully not too in the way, but at the same time also nearby, so I've got a lot of things to keep in mind. I do think I want to start tapping into the iron setup here first, so I'm going to get rid of these trees. I do need to expand my coverage though. I need to give these guys power. There we go. So now they can actually start helping me out. You can see exactly I wanted their assistance. And then, since we're in bot range, it would be nice to place down a really nice farming setup. One miner setup that I really like is actually this one here. And I did use it in my 0.16 series, but this is the most compact mining setup that I have been able to find. It basically uses kind of a zigzag pattern for the miners. So let's just start laying that down, and then I don't have to worry about filling that in myself. The bots should just eventually do that. The tricky part is just making sure that everything is lined up properly. And this will take a little bit of time, it looks like, just to get it lined up. The blueprint itself is a little bit smaller than the actual coverage I need. But we're getting there. And then eventually either this will get farmed out, or if not, by the time I have modules, I'll be able to place efficiency modules. This is what I typically like to use in my miner setups. In fact, I do typically use 3 efficiency 1 modules, because that is the cheapest way to get the best, basically, bang for your buck. You can only get so much of a buff for efficiency or energy salvaging, so 3 efficiency 1s is actually all you need to get the max buff. There we go. So bots will fill in the rest, and then once that's done, we can actually start having the miner setup go into some sort of new smelter. Exactly where I want to put that, I guess we could put it right here amidst all these trees. I know I initially liked this area partly because of all the trees nearby, but I'm sadly going to have to get rid of most of them. And even the ones I don't get rid of, I imagine would sadly just kind of wither away once pollution hit them eventually. So this is kind of sad, but it has to be done to make room for the new base. Ugh, it pains me. Let's try to leave a couple though, I guess, because it's still good for combating pollution. But we could just put, I guess, maybe we can do, I don't want to have my smelters in the circle if I can avoid it, because that's where I want to put all of my, at least my intermediary factories, like my mall and green circuits, red circuits, all of those things, modules. So maybe I can put my smelters on the outside, which was part of my original plan anyway. And that way it doesn't take up the room that I want for something else. So let's get rid of these trees over here. We are definitely out of bot range now, though. It looks like I'll have to go back to base yet again, pick up a couple more poles and robo-bays and things like that. But I'll go do that real quick, and then we'll go ahead and start laying down a new smelter setup. Okay, so I've got iron getting farmed over here, and the belts make its way kind of going from left to right. Meanwhile, I set up a separate coal farming area over here because I had a coal patch nearby. So I plan on joining up the belts over here and kind of also bringing it to join up with the iron over here. And then we can put in a smelter factory in this area. I'm not quite ready just to go straight to electric, I don't think. My electricity isn't quite so sustainable at the moment. So I want to just kind of join some stuff up, I think. So I've just extended this belt. I think we'll use this for the first set of iron smelters. I want to make many more smelters than I did for the original base over here. I think I want rows and rows and rows of smelters, at least for now. I think I want to join up the coal using kind of this technique here. There we go. So coal will be coming in from this side, iron from this side, and then smelters will come through the middle here, and this will go down. Let me make sure I have exactly enough room though. So this should be the output line, I believe, which means the smelter needs to go there, and that is actually perfect. So we'll do that on the other side as well. And we can bump that up probably by 1. Okay, so now we just have to count how many. So the trick at this point is just to connect up the coal. And I do plan on doing a better job with my belt balancing this time. I did borrow a belt balancer book from Factorio Prints. So let me connect this up to the coal here. All right, the lines are connected up. Coal just isn't quite powered yet because there's one electrical pole missing over here. But I've got the inserters in, I've got the furnaces in, the belts, of course. Now I just have to turn on power, make sure this works, and then I plan on copying and pasting so that we've got a couple more tiles worth of this as well. But let's just make sure it works to begin with. There we go, that should do it. And then voila, I now have 4 smelters for iron. This is already going to do much better than my original smelter design over here for iron. Ooh, what's going on over there? One thing I am beginning to worry about, though, as I'm beginning to use a lot of my resources for building my new base, I'm beginning to run out of a lot of resources here in the original base. The big one being copper, which is nearly depleted. So my copper production has really slowed down, meaning my production of miners and turrets, and the big one being ammo has really slowed down. So I'm going to have to fix that, or at least keep a very close eye on that until I can get ammo production up and running over here at the new base. But the other thing I did is delineate where I plan on having a couple more belts coming in. So I'll need one at least for stone ore and then the stone brick. I guess I could possibly share these on a line, but I will think about that a little bit later. I probably want 2 belts worth of steel, and that doesn't mean it has to be fully compressed, but what I'm keeping in mind here is that in order for me to get the resources coming from kind of a bus system over here and then onto cars that will be traveling on this line over here, I want to have at least a couple different inputs going onto the cars so that they don't have to just have only one. And then just below the steel we'll have copper, which means I can go ahead and place a couple more smelters over here just below these lines that I've designated for these resources. So I'm planning on placing steel probably further out over here. I'm not sure how many rows worth of smelters for that, but I will plan on putting copper smelters over here just below, and then I will tap into a new copper ore patch over here. But I think those are all things that I will plan on doing off camera, so that way by the time you join me for episode 18, you'll see all of the smelters fully installed, or at least the temporary smelters installed, and then we can start transferring the products coming from these belts over here, and then begin utilizing the little circular car belt feature that we're going to be having, and then start making more resources, and then hopefully start automating things over here. So with that said, thanks you guys as always for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please stick around for episode 18 here to come.